quite a few positives for him, but I think there's a few horses in this that have got a bit of potential as well, and it might not be entirely straightforward for all that he's an interesting newcomer.
I'm looking forward to seeing Hala Emirati again, obviously penalised for ripping, but 6 runners and heavy ground. So it's very different under ground conditions today. In the paddock, he was late in, but he looked fine. He was one of the more relaxed ones. You could tell he had a run.
Yeah, and that professionalism could stand him in fairly good stead. He wasn't the sharpest away first time out, but he got himself into a prominent pitch. You would think with a bit of experience behind him, he might well be a bit quicker out on that front, and I suspect that Torhammer Hansen will want to edge him across that way with the rest of the pack, and he's probably going to be able to get into a handy enough pitch. He looks a sharp type. The stable are having another good time of things, and he's got that experience edge on a few of them. So yes, he's got his penalty to carry, but you'd have to think that he should be in the mix, and they'd be a bit disappointed if he wasn't. For all that very different ground conditions might be an unknown, you would say pedigree-wise that this should be absolutely fine for him.
A big week for the owners. Wish them well. Obviously, Dubai Mile and the Epsom Derby this Saturday. Right, they're going behind. Rattled down a few more. Havana for Richard Fahey. He's going nicely with his 2-year-olds. Another one at York at the weekend with him.
Yeah, nice debut winner, and he had a debut winner at Carlisle as well. So he's had a couple of first-time out 2-year-old winners. Richard's youngsters invariably improve for the experience, but it doesn't stop them being able to win first time out. 40 grand as a yearling. Don't mind his pedigree at all. I think he's going to be a horse that gets a little bit further, but that's the case with plenty of them. And he's one that you can make a little bit of an argument for, I think, on his page and his connections. Stall 9, it's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world either.
Okay, Rock Lodge shipped okay actually at Carlisle. Only beat one home, but was buying there, entering the final furlong up a stiff track, flatter track today. Stall 12, needs to do better and out in the wing.
Yeah, and that run behind him a week ago, entitled to have brought him forward a little bit, both mentally and physically. He was actually behind one of the Fahey debutants that we've mentioned there, Malk, who won that Carlisle race. Different type of track might suit better.
Yeah, I think Malk's a good horse. He looked good, didn't he?
He was an expensive breezing horse. I think he won despite a little bit of greenness. Speaking of which, Teagar, probably worth a mention for Michael Dodds. Won on debut, coming from a long way back to pick up Scoops Ahoy. Went to Pontefract and turned over at odds on next time out, but didn't really seem to run his race that day.
She didn't get a chance to open up.
No, she didn't, and she was probably not ideally suited by the track on that occasion. So I think you might see her do a little bit better again today, and she's got what could be a good draw in stall 4. I'd probably be expecting her to run quite well.
Mr. Irrelevant for Grant Shear and Sam James, jockey chasing a double, but exhibiting signs of greenness. Likewise, Durkin.
By Invincible Army, who's looking like a solid enough sire, and we've got one.
Rowan Scott's done really well to keep hold of Duran. He was green in a paddock and just got rid of Rowan. Hopefully he'll get back on board, but luckily he didn't get loose there because a fair few of them are already in.
Yeah, he's got a nice enough pedigree actually. He was 45 grand as a yearling.
Invincible Spirit.
Invincible Spirit out of a useful mare. I think there's a little bit to like about him on pedigree. Torvar has got a good draw. Going to need to improve on what he's shown in his 2 starts so far. But he might well be able to take a bit of a step forward. Big Evs has been strong in the market. Draw would have to be a little bit of a concern, but he's got a nice enough pedigree by Blue Point, a 50 grand yearling who's related to winners. And
he's standing in the stalls better than his dad would have done.
Yeah,
he was very edgy, very edgy.
Yeah, Big Evs himself was showing signs of greenness in the paddock, making a little bit of a noise, but a few of them were the same, and he looks like he's been absolutely fine on his way down, and he's behaved better going in to this point than a good number of those that are still to load, a few of which are
7 questions
quite
for
edgy.
George Scott and Billy Ducklane, just having a look at stall 14. So they're all just exhibiting signs of greenness. Here's the Hala Emirati still out of line, Rock Lodge still out of line, and Mr. Irrelevant. So hopefully these last 3 will go in case one doesn't. Let's get up to Stephen and get the call for a 3rd race of the afternoon.
Yeah, thank you. Now I'll just answer the last couple now, but 1 or 2 of them are on their toes, and Mr. Irrelevant has been playing up since the loading process began. Rock Lodge is in. Mr. Irrelevant goes into 6, so 1 left, and that is 7 questions into stall number 14. And that's it. They're all in. They're off. 2-year-olds jump away over 5 furlongs for the celebration of Tom Hamilton's life EBF Restricted Novice Stakes. Straight over towards the far rail they go with Northern Prince, who broke well from stall 2. Hala Emirati, the Ripon winner's also handy. Big Evs making ground from a wide draw to go forward and take it up. So Big Evs leads to Northern Prince, Hala Emirati. Zafia's in 4th place, followed through by towards the inside Torvar, next to Tagar. Then came Our Havana. Further back in the field is Rock Lodge. Jungle Mac onto the heels of the leaders. 7 questions out towards the middle of the course in red and white, trying to get on terms. Then Seahorse Sid further back towards the rear with Mr. Irrelevant, Lady in Havana. Last of all is Duran, and they're inside the 2, and it's Big Ev still with the lead. Big Ev's in front from on the far side, Hala Emirati. Then in 3rd place, running on, is Tagar from 7 questions. Torvar and Jungle Mac. It's Hala Emirati getting to Big Ev's near the line, and Hala Emirati remains unbeaten. 2 out of 2 beat Big Ev's, who's ran well on debut. Tagar ran on from Torvar, and then 7 questions.
Hala Emirati is one to find a penalty for Alice Haynes and Thor Hammer Hansen. Alice Haynes absolutely flying along with her 2-year-olds. Has beaten Big Evs, who's ran a big race on debut from a bad draw for Mick Appleby and Jason Hart. And back in 3rd place was Tagar for Michael Dodds and Conor Beasley.
Yeah, well, the winner has handled the quicker surface really well, and as you say, Alice's horse is doing really well. 2-year-old team well forward. Torhammer Hansen, that's the second 2-year-old winner that he's had for them this time around, and he's had to keep at this horse. He got him over onto the right part of the track. He's responded well. I think the runner-up is probably going to progress from this, for all that he seemed to know his job. He's just a little bit green when he comes under pressure late on, and he's had to use up a lot of gas getting over from a wide draw. If he'd have had a lower draw and used that pace to get right onto the rail, I think he might well have gone on and won. Mick Appleby said that he liked him. He wasn't wrong that he's a nice looking horse given how he's shaped there.
The winner's probably Windsor Castle bound.
Yep, I suspect he is. And the runner-up at the ball at the stretch from a good way out is fairly swift.
Yeah, and he just ran around a little bit when they were coming to him.
Yeah, he just jinked to his right a little bit, didn't he? And a bit of greenness. I'd say that he'll win next time, the runner-up.
And I think the winner, versatile regarding ground, and this is only a restricted for band B, C and D. Don't get too carried away, but I imagine the proximity. We're in June later in the week that he's booked his Windsor Castle ticket. We'll try and get a word if Alice, I'm not sure she is here, but we'll ask her if she is.